Welcome to Policy on Demand, State Tax Edition. I'm Ferdinand Agroyan, and joining me today is Rob Osmond, a partner in our state and local tax practice in Boston. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you, Ferdinand.
Well, Rob, these are exciting times for Policy on Demand and for state and local tax here at PwC. I was hoping you could say a few words about what we're hoping to accomplish here with the state and local tax channel, if you will, state tax policy at Policy on Demand.
Thank you, Ferdinand. We've had a long service with our clients to do state legislative updates, and what we're looking to do is transition that to Policy on Demand, and we're really looking forward to that. Historically, the state legislative services have focused primarily on income tax, and with the Policy on Demand channel now, we're going to broaden that to cover everything that's kind of going on with sales tax and some credits and incentives, and obviously all things near and dear to my heart, tax reform. So using the new channel, we're going to be able to broaden the content that we actually are delivering to our clients while keeping the core components of what we did with state legislative services, including the quarterly updates for tax provision purposes.
And to me, what's really exciting about Policy on Demand, there's a platform, the state tax channel, we might call it, for state tax policy, the website.
Yep.
But there's also the currency of these episodes that we're going to be doing. And we can do them every week. They're on demand. Our clients can download them. They're accessible by video, but also by podcast. So we can really bring current developments to our clients in a way that we haven't done before for state tax. And now's the perfect time to be doing that because we're facing compliance season on the income tax side. We've got guidance coming out with respect to at both the federal level, still on federal tax reform, and then states still reacting to that. And there are so many unanswered questions. What are some of the things you think that we're going to be covering in the next several episodes, next several months, and going on here as our clients are struggling to get through compliance season?
Well, with the October 15th deadline and then the November 15th deadline, what this will allow us to do is have more regular and routine updates as some of the compliance issues we're dealing with, right? And so that as we see things and we think it's important to get out to our client base, we can put that in a short, 5 to 10 minute video to kind of highlight some of the considerations as they work, as like us, to complete their returns. So you've got states still issuing notices and guidance that impact the way that returns are going to be filed, like the Tennessee Notice 1902 that talked about Subpart F income, that has some considerations around tax reform. You've got the Tennessee Notice on 163J, right, and how those implications, and other states as they just go through, or just run-of-the-mill compliance things that may make sense to push out. So there definitely will be a tax reform component to this going forward, but it's not just all tax reform. It'll obviously cover some of the sales tax developments that are happening and credits and incentives through that same process. So, there's a lot to think through going through November 15th and then beyond. And so this will give us the platform to give snippets out to our clients more current.
You mentioned the sales tax updates, and that's something where we've covered them in the past with our state legislative services clients on our monthly webcasts. But here again, just like with federal tax reform, post-Wayfair, and with the incredible proliferation of marketplace provider collection requirements, we're seeing guidance coming out the states every week. And the example here is in Minnesota, the Department of Revenue issued guidance regarding what constitutes a retail sale that counts towards the collection threshold for economic nexus, and not counting sales for resale, but counting non-taxable, otherwise non-taxable or exempt sales in that threshold. Those are important details for compliance, and the compliance thresholds are either here right now or in the immediate future. So those are the kind of things that we're certainly going to be covering on the state tax policy episodes. With respect to marketplace sellers as well, a lot of guidance still to come. An example of legislation here, the Ohio budget, something that we're going to be covering and that we're actually going to have an insight coming out on as well, with respect to what constitutes a marketplace, the definition of it, but also who must collect. And an issue that came up at the MTC annual meeting is there an opportunity for some large sellers on a marketplace to collect in lieu of the marketplace because they understand what their customers are and what they're selling and the proper taxes to collect. That's something that was in the Ohio budget, an option for that. And I think we're going to see more guidance around that given the attention given the issue at the recent MTC annual meeting. So those are examples of some of the things we're going to be covering. You mentioned credits and incentives as well. That's an area where on both income franchise, sales and use, and overall credits and incentives, you see continuing legislative activity, and those are things that we can cover, upcoming deadlines, for example. So those are all things that we can include on this platform.
And as we get guidance around the federal opportunity zone too, the states are still evaluating how they're going to treat that, both on a kind of a pass-through basis on a C Corp level. So again, the opportunity here is for us to get recurring content out to our clients and the professionals out there. And in addition, it builds a library that if you need to go back to, you'll be able to go refer back to it and give yourself guidance if it's a week or month or whatever.
And they'll have us as their state tax policy team.
Exactly.
Always ready to respond with new content and in a rapid fashion. So we're looking forward to that.
So, and still doing the quarterly updates as well as we usually do. So it's going to be great.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Rob. Appreciate
Thank you for
joining us here today. And thank you for joining us for Policy on Demand State Tax Edition.